When someone is silenced to prevent them from sharing their story, particularly in high-profile legal or abuse cases, it is often referred to by several terms depending on the specific method used. In the context of Virginia Giuffre and similar cases, the most common mechanisms are 1. Non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. This is the formal legal tool often used in settlements. An NDA is a legally binding contract where a person agrees not to discuss specific events or information in exchange for a benefit, usually a financial settlement. While they have legitimate uses in business, they are frequently criticized when used to buy the silence of victims of misconduct. 2. Gagging or a gag order. Gagging, a general term for any action that prevents a person from speaking out. Gag order, a specific legal order issued by a court that prohibits parties, lawyers, or witnesses from talking about a case to the public or the press. In the context of institutional silencing by gag order, a prominent example often cited involves the family court secrecy rules overseen during the tenure of Jack Straw, who served as Home Secretary and later Justice Secretary under the Labour governments of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. While serving in these high-level roles within a political circle that included figures like Blair, frequently noted for their social proximity to individuals like Jeffrey Epstein and Jimmy Savile, Straw faced significant backlash for maintaining and defending strict privacy laws in family law proceedings. These regulations effectively functioned as a gag order by making it a criminal offense for victims of child abuse or their parents to speak publicly about their cases or the maltreatment they allegedly suffered within the care system. Straw, who is of 1/8 Eastern European Jewish descent through his maternal great-grandmother, and is a practicing Christian, using state power, made it illegal for whistleblowers and victims from exposing systemic failures in the British state. 3. Institutional silencing. This refers to a broader culture within an organization or power structure that protects the perpetrator. Methods include intimidation, using threats of legal action, such as defamation suits, or physical harm to keep a victim quiet. An example of this is what royal family friend Freemason Cyril Smith did to his victims to stop them speaking out. Smith used remarkably similar tactics to silence critics and victims of the asbestos industry, specifically to protect Turner and Newell, which operated the world's largest asbestos factory in his Rochdale constituency. Smith owned 1,300 shares in Turner and Newell at the time, a clear conflict of interest. He used his position to hide, while publicly downplaying the 4,000 annual asbestos-related deaths as relatively low. Smear campaigns, attacking the victim's credibility, so that if they do speak, they aren't believed. This tactic was weaponized against me when I attempted to seek help from the Labour Party, my elected representatives at the time, regarding the monarchy's documented associations with prolific paedophile networks, including Lord Mountbatten, Jimmy Savile, Jeffrey Epstein and their child-killing associates. Unaware that these political and royal paedophile circles were often deeply intertwined, I found that instead of receiving assistance, the powers of the state were leveraged to pathologize me, falsely framing me as having mental health issues to invalidate my testimony. This state-sanctioned character assassination was further escalated when I began discussing Dr. Stephen Greer's claims regarding extraterrestrial intelligence visiting Earth. I was targeted for highlighting the profound overlap between these two subjects, noting that the same influential figures and power structures are deeply embedded in both the concealment of non-human intelligence and the protection of these predatory networks. Because these individuals remain in positions of significant power, their constant public presence creates a cycle of re-traumatization. Every television appearance or campaign leaflet delivered to my door serves as a persistent, invasive reminder of the institutional betrayal and the coordinated effort to silence me by questioning my sanity, gaslighting, manipulating a victim into doubting their own memory or the severity of the event. Gaslighting operates as a sophisticated and progressive form of psychological manipulation that transcends simple lying by following a systematic pattern designed to erode a victim's sense of reality. The process begins with trivializing feelings, where the predator dismisses the victim's trauma as an overreaction or sensitivity to minimize the event's severity. This is reinforced through countering, as the predator confidently asserts a false version of events to make the victim doubt their own memory, and withholding, where they feign confusion or refuse to acknowledge the victim's perspective entirely. Ultimately, the predator employs discrediting, strategically branding the victim to others as confused, unstable, or prone to fantasies. This calculated character assassination primes the community to reject the victim's story, ensuring they remain isolated and their testimonies preemptively invalidated before it can ever be heard. Gaslighting is a prelude to institutional DARVO. 4. DARVO. DARVO. In the world of psychology, silence is often enforced through an acronym called DARVO. Deny the behavior, attack the individual. Reverse victim and offender. By framing the victim as the attacker, the perpetrator effectively silences them through social stigma and fear of retaliation. When DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender, moves beyond an individual interaction and becomes embedded in the response of an organization, it is known as institutional DARVO. In this scenario, the institution, be it a government, an intelligence agency, a military, a police force, a corporation, or a religious body, protects its own reputation by systematically dismantling the credibility of the whistleblower or victim, the mechanics of institutional DARVO. Instead of an individual lashback, the institution uses its collective power, legal resources, and PR machines to flip the narrative. Deny. The institution issues formal statements claiming the event never happened, or that they have no record of such claims. They may use bureaucratic jargon to obfuscate the truth. Attack. The institution launches an investigation into the perpetrator, but into the victim's background, mental health, or professional performance. They may use slap suits, strategic lawsuits against public participation, to bankrupt the victim emotionally and financially. Reverse victim and offender. The institution claims it is the true victim of unfounded allegations that threaten its mission, its funding, or its employees' livelihoods. The whistleblower is framed as a disgruntled employee or a liar trying to extort the organization. Why institutions use it? Institutions are often driven by institutional betrayal. This occurs when the trust a person places in an organization is violated by that organization's failure to protect them. The DARVO response serves three main goals. 1. Risk management, minimizing legal liability and financial payouts. 2. Reputation defense, maintaining a clean public image to keep stakeholders or donors happy. 3. Status quo preservation, avoiding the systemic changes that would be required if the abuse were admitted. Examples in the public eye. The Catholic Church, historically denying abuse and mass child murder claims, while attacking the character of survivors, to protect the priesthood. High-profile legal settlements, cases like those involving Harvey Weinstein or P. Diddy, where the company used private investigators to attack and gather dirt on accusers to ensure their silence. Academic institutions, handling Title IX reports by prioritizing the university's ranking over the safety of the student. The toll. Institutional DARVO is often more damaging than the original offense. It creates a secondary trauma, an emotional double tap, where the victim feels erased by the very structure that was supposed to provide justice for serving or ex-military personnel. Institutional DARVO inflicts a uniquely devastating psychological wound because it weaponizes the very loyalty and service before self ethos they were trained to uphold. When a veteran reports abuse or corruption, only to be met with institutional denial and character attacks, It triggers an extreme form of cognitive dissonance. The individual must reconcile their identity as a protector of the institution with the reality that the institution has become their primary aggressor. This betrayal of the sacred bond often leads to profound moral injury, as the victim's foundational belief in the honor and integrity of the chain of command is systematically dismantled by the organization they were once willing to die for.